Sorry. Good afternoon. Welcome to Laredo Independent School District Board of Trustees special call meeting. It's Thursday, September 30th, 2021. It's 5:31 in the Amber Yeary boardroom. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hector J. Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Hector J. Noyola.
Present.
Ms. Monica Garcia, I'm present. Dr. Minita Ramirez, she's on her way, right? Right?
Yes.
Mr. Jose Valdez. Here. Mr. Guadalupe Gomez.
Present.
Mr. Ricardo Garza.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Y'all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of
America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Rios, please. Oh, you want to go to the bottom right?
Yes.
Motion to bring up A and B, 6A and 6B.
So move.
Motion, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Item number 6, discussion and possible action on the following budget amendments. BA number 2122-15, discussion and possible action to approve the general operating fund budget amendment in the amount of $8,277 as a result of transfers between functional expenditure categories from the Board of Trustees discretionary funds.
So move to approve A and B.
Before you do that, I want to add $1,500 to the Martin High School girls basketball team and $5,000 to the Lamar band. That'll make it a total of $14,777.
So move to approve A and B as with amendments.
Motion, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Next.
Item number 1, discussion and presentation on the conversion of BBVA USA products and
No.
services.
B.
Dr. Rios,
Oh, I'm sorry.
2B, I mean
But the
6B.
motion was A and B, right?
I
No.
said A and B.
Oh, okay.
I
You want me to
motion
read
for
it?
A and B.
Oh, A and B, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need to read it or no?
Okay.
So, item number 1, discussion
Thank
and
you.
presentation on the conversion of BBVA USA products and services to Pittsburgh National Corporation, PNC, to begin October 2021. Ms. Ayala?
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. This is an informational item. BBVA USA is now part of PNC. The acquisition was completed on June the 1st, 2021, making PNC the largest regional bank in the United States and the 5th largest bank in the U.S. overall. We are migrating as we speak, and we're hoping, well, the bank wants us to fully migrate by October the 11th. We are asking for an extension as we're doing another type of migration, but we're hopeful that we will be able to link the accounts timely by the 11th.
Quick question. On the conversion from one company, is there anything going up? Any prices going up? Because my understanding, I told Mr. Pettis to look into it. If
The
they're
contract-
converting from one to another, this is the opportunity to say, you know what, we can rebid if there's a change in any.
Yeah, the contract will roll, so all the prices are set as awarded, but I believe the current contract will be for 2 years, and we can rebid after that.
I think we should. This is too much of a national level for us. And I would rather have it to where we have more of a local connection with the banks. I don't know if.
And that's what I said,
there's-
maybe, I would
So
agree that maybe after.
We did rebid it, I want to say some 5 years ago, and some of the banks do not have the required infrastructure that we need due to the large sums of money that we handle, and all the money that we have, it needs security. So.
Let me ask you,
need
would it
kinda-
be wise, in your opinion, would it be wise to maybe, this is the opportunity, at least to look to see if we can find somebody that has the structure and want to bid? Because I know that some of the time we do go out, we don't have anybody bid within our community.
We can start rebidding maybe a year ahead of time,
Yeah.
perhaps.
And
'Cause,
look at
yes,
that.
Because
if
maybe
we were to
at the
change-
time when the bid went out, they didn't have that type of capacity.
Perhaps,
But now they
yes.
do, so maybe we can have it more.
Truly, yes.
So
So we'll
when-
do that.
When you say 2 years, are you talking about 2 years from today, or 2 years from when when the contract was issued?
No, I believe it was renewed earlier this year,
Okay.
so we have about a year and a half.
Okay. Any other
If I'm not
comments?
mistaken, I would check and verify that.
Anybody else? Okay, we won't put it as an action item, but it's not an action item anyway,
it's
but
not
just
an
something you
action
can
item.
actually look into at least.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's not the right time, or maybe they give us better rate than we have, whatever the situation is. Next,
Item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding athletic event tickets and athletic capacity protocols. I know that we have Maggie Martinez here and Coach Barrera. This is in regards to conversations that we had previously regarding a capacity. And remember when we did the Martin Nixon game, we did have a 50% capacity with the option to move up the number of seats, or not seats, but tickets available. So we're at this point where we've had some discussions, and I know that some of you have asked about the number of people outside athletic events.
go ahead, y'all want to report? Just the concerns is that I don't remember anybody talking about a 50%, just the Nixon Martin, and we weren't going to go fully 50%. We just thought that if we started 50 and if we sold tickets, we'd get a 60 and 70 instead of going 100 and then going backwards. But we never mentioned anything about any other fields. And I went to personally went to a game at Nixon High School, and we had parents, not a lot, 6 to 7 parents, standing outside the gate asking, can we go in to see our kid? And we wouldn't let them in. And to me, they're the ones that built these facilities. The stands were not packed, and we were not letting them in. No, and that was coming from security, and they got their orders. It's not security's fault. That's the order they get. But I don't remember voting on that. In my opinion, if it's an outdoor event, we should be at 100%. If it's an indoor event, that's a different story. 50, 60, I don't know. What do y'all think?
I agree because I've been to our local games and our sister district games, and they have large crowds. You can see how beautiful it is when KGNS sports news come out. You have a section of students for United Alexander, United South, and when they show our events, there are very few.
Do they have standards
Fans.
over there? My understanding, because they were at the game, that they don't have a 50%. They're going full. They're going full thing.
And Mr. Garcia, yes, you're right. We did not ask for a vote or guidance on this, but we took it up on ourselves because of the guidance from the city.
And that
you
was
know,
the
safety
first game.
lines.
That was the first.
Because remember, United went on their own, and we're still under the city guidelines for safety, and we followed those guidelines. So we didn't know,
The
but
city
we
doesn't
can.
have guidelines. You can't follow something that doesn't exist. No.
Well, on the mitigation process, we do
On which
follow
one?
under them.
For
under
games?
mitigation, on any activities in our campuses. So we follow on those guidelines to make sure that if there was a high, rate at that time when we started the games, on the Martin Nixon game, for example, it was higher. Now it's getting lower, which is great.
But just for the record, the Martin Nixon games, there was no protocol in them. In a courtesy call, we called them and said, hey, what's your idea? He said, well, y'all can do whatever you want, but we suggest, that's all that we're doing.
Yes.
We suggest maybe start it backward at 50 and 60, and we
Yeah.
took their recommendation.
Yeah.
But there's nothing written that says this is what we're doing, so that doesn't exist.
Well, we followed that guideline from Martin Nixon. We went on that recommendation because of the number of cases we had back then.
Right.
Now the cases have improved, so, we're all for it. We want to open 100%, but we were just trying to be preventive.
I guess our suggestion, Maggie and Coach Ferrara, is probably for the games that pertain to Martin Nixon and Cigarroa, the home games, we'll do them, I guess, for free of charge for them to go in. And is that what our main objective is?
There's a way that we're gonna be at 100% capacity at gyms or stadiums. Right now, we are less than a third. It's sad when very few people go to the games, especially students. You see mostly parents with a few students. And that's why I asked yesterday if we could have free tickets to the students. And I'm not saying 50, if we give 50 tickets, only about 10 will show up. We need to give hundreds of tickets.
Okay, so
at each school.
before we decide to do that, I mean, we have Flor here. What type of financial impact are we gonna have in giving away those hundreds of tickets? I wanna know that
Yeah,
part.
before you give it that, real quick, but right now, we're giving tickets to all our athletes.
Only athletes, yes.
Only
For
athletes.
their families.
So what we had talked about previously was using those passes, student passes and student athlete passes as incentives. So now that we've passed the 6-week mark and we have a good gauge on attendance and honor roll, et cetera, we've distributed those passes to the principals and they are using those passes as of today.
Mr. Barrera, but
Yes.
just, I'm confused here. We're giving passes to every athlete. There's no ands or buts. There's not because it's a ticket if they do a certain thing. That's their ticket. The ones that you're giving extra are the
It's to
ones,
for
the
the
incentive
students.
for everybody else.
For the students, yes, sir.
But did that include high school, middle school, elementary of athletes, or is it just high school?
We initially provided for the high schools, but we are delivering on Monday to the middle schools, and we will send some to the to the elementary schools. But the tickets will say, for example, Cigarroa Student Athlete Pass. So, because we want to maintain that vertical alignment piece, so they will be receiving some tickets to use as incentives, but not as many as the
How
high
many
schools.
passes did you give to the high schools
We
for
provided-
students? For students,
We provided 400 for the student athletes and 200 for students.
per school.
Yes, sir. So that would be a total of 600. So we're anticipating maybe a third would attend every game. So that would be at least, 100 to
Yes, but we
150.
don't have 400 student athletes at each high school.
Well, no, sir, we do not.
You have family that comes in. A big, for instance, last night at the JV game, there were 90% more parents from United South coming in, and they pretty much took over the stands at the JV game. I didn't see too much impact from the Nixon family, in there. But, we're still trying to figure out. I guess my question would be: are we at a point right now where we can loosen it up a little bit, so that we can be comfortable enough to because a lot of people are kind of shell shocked. They don't want to go
Yeah.
because we told them at the beginning of school, don't go. So to reintegrate those students, the ROTCs and everybody to get in there and become part of this year's programs, we need to reintegrate that. But when will you feel happy enough to?
Well, sir, actually, last night, we tested 100% capacity at Montes. And, Coach Escamilla sent us pictures, and for the freshman game,
Yeah.
the Nixon side was packed.
Yeah.
United had very little, and then it kind of flipped for the
Right.
JV game.
Right.
So when we were establishing capacity, we were not clearing the stadiums between games. So the limitation on the tickets was based on the two, and for example,
JV
me
and
attending a freshman game and remaining for that second game.
Right.
So that's why there was a little hiccup with that. But we're back at 100%. We tested it last night. It went well. We had enough security. We had enough gate personnel, so it went well last night.
And I know it's different because I know that Kristen was asked, well, we'll just move all the games to Shirley.
Yes.
That's a good idea, but as a board member to the Nixon area, our people I remember loving to play at home, which
Correct.
is Nixon. I'm sure Cigarroa loves to play at their home because it's better, it's easier for our parents and not have to drive ourselves, nothing about Shirley, but you want to play at home.
Correct.
And that's what I say, if it's less, well, but they're still at home.
Right.
They get to dress in their dressing room. They get to walk out. That's a big difference.
And our biggest concern, Mr. Garcia, was our local school, Nixon, playing one of the UISD schools because they're local. And, we were getting a lot of high attendance for that. But now that we moved back up to 100%, we were able to handle that particular crowd.
Yeah, so I guess the point would be, again, I understand the concerns because we do see it. I mean, with the Alexander game this past weekend, Nixon was following all the protocols and procedures that LISD has
Yes, sir.
at a USD facility. And Alexander's site was just absolutely packed.
Yes, sir.
All the
We
way to
talked
the
about
top. So the question would be are the parents and everybody still has to follow our guidelines if it's in an away facility? Because, I mean, that's what it looked like. Everybody was still kind of separated. I was sitting with
Sir, our
Manuela.
parents are naturally just following and being protective.
Yeah, that's.
So,
I mean,
yeah, they're being
that's what I'm saying.
compliant, yes.
That's what I'm saying. In their mind, they're following LISD rules at a UISD function.
Yes.
Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think, but there's got to be a point in there where we start loosening up and start saying, hey, you know, it's going to be better because, like Mr. Rivera says, you want more action, more people to have accessibility, more people to be going to the games. And my question is, at what point do we start saying, and feel comfortable enough to say, let's do it? Let's open it up.
I-
a little bit
I
more.
do
It's
have a
gonna take a while
comment.
to sell it back.
Yeah, but I'm
Yes.
still waiting for my answer of what type of financial impact
Impact.
Okay,
we're gonna
sorry,
have
I blocked
Yeah, I'm sorry.
if, you know, we give out
And
hundreds.
that's a very good question because we need to know
Hundreds
that.
of tickets away, because, I mean, as it is, I know,
It's only Nixon that has very good, better attendance than.
bueno, pues
Martin
espérame
and
tantito,
Segarra.
Noyola, deja que me contesten.
Yes.
So I want to know on the financial impact, because I think this is an important decision we need to make, because right now we're giving out tickets to student athletes to have their parents go. But then, if we want to open the floodgates and have all these people come in, where we were used to pre-COVID receiving those monies, what are we looking at, and what are we not gonna get?
Right, so we budget, we project about 200,000 in revenues per year. Back in a good year, it was very difficult even to meet 200,000. So with that in mind, probably 75% of that we will not be able to generate. But
Yes, then that money, ¿dónde lo metías?
So,
You would go back to athletics. Use it for what?
so it is,
But at the end of the school year, it goes back to, whatever was left over, goes back to the operating budget.
so.
Right,
Jen-
Sylvia?
There's never money making deals.
no,
Let her
that's
answer?
not-
Go ahead.
That's not the way it works. So we project revenues, right, and we use that to offset their cost of extracurricular activities. The difference is funded by general fund.
So you're projecting 100,000 income from Gates, and what is your projection right now?
Probably less than that. For this year, less
Yes.
than 100,000.
We'll probably lose money with the staff that we hire for all these games and security and everything.
It is a cost.
Regardless,
make
if
it
it's a
free.
good year, if it's a good year or a bad year, even if it's a good year, you're not gonna make, you're gonna lose money.
Right.
Right, we're never going to make
Right.
$2 million in revenues, because
It's
that is
only
the cost
the
of.
first
of
game,
athletics.
and now the stadiums are empty. It's sad.
I'd like to make a comment about whether it's an outdoor event or an indoor event. Right now, we're lucky that we don't have too many cases, but I think that being outside is one thing. You know, people are out in the air, so to speak. But if you're gonna, if we're gonna go back to, as Mr. Garza was talking about, what's the capacity in a gym? And you're right, I know that the other schools, they're not observing any of the they're not mandates anymore. They're not observing that. So right now, we've been very careful, I think, and our kids have not gotten infected. Now, that 5-year-old vaccine supposedly is going to come into, at the end of October, and probably based on what the nurse is saying, it won't be able to be administered until sometime in November. So if right now, today we were looking at the numbers of kids who have gotten vaccinated, and there are some schools that still, secondary schools that have 87% non-vaccinated. So if we are putting our kids in a gym situation where it's really closely packed, I don't know about that. I mean, I mean,
It'll
if we
never
can.
happen. Even if we give free tickets away, we'll never have 100% capacity.
I agree with that, because I went to the Martin Nixon game, volleyball.
Yeah.
And we didn't have you can't say it was 50% capacity, because it must have been 75% capacity.
Yeah.
So it was, and I think we're gonna get like that. But it's a different game, because I went to the Figueroa volleyball game, and if you would have had the capacity of the 75, that the gym would have been packed. It's a smaller gym.
Yeah.
But they were about 75% capacity too. I don't see a problem with you know what, let
Increasing it.
the chips fall where they fall. But I don't. if it's a Martin game against the UISD and they're coming over, put them on their side and then keep them on their side because they like, oh, there's no rules over here. Then they come to the Nixon side because you have less of the CROs and they sit over here. That's not what we want. You stay on one side, we stay on the other side and do whatever you need to do. That's what I think.
So I'm not sure if and I just, in my head, I was calculating about 75% also because it stands to reason that we're letting half the people in and we're not meeting the $200,000 deal, so it's gotta be under 100,000 just by that we're gonna lose. But if we give those tickets away and they go in, they're still gonna have, well, we don't have concession stand right now, do we?
Yes.
Right. We can take concessions in there. I mean.
But the concessions do not belong to athletics, they belong to the kids.
The idea is that they have accessibility to whatever we're doing. And my whole thing is, I'm pretty comfortable right now in saying that, in the way the public is reacting right now, Laredo is reacting very well to, whatever the rest of the country is not doing. So I'm thinking that there's a lot of personal responsibility going on. And what if we inch it up a little bit and open it up a little bit more so that more people can have accessibility to all these games, And not 100%, I mean, but those kids, it's gonna be very difficult to try and get them. I don't think they're gonna normalize into going to a function until after January, right? I mean, they get the vaccine or whatever at the end of October. People are still kind of weary about the flu season's coming and all this kind of stuff. At what point do they get back to going to their functions at every school? And if we're limiting that and not preparing to market it so that, oh, no, it's okay, come on in. I want you guys to be normal. But we haven't done that. We're still holding very tight to it. And I'm not sure when that's going to open up.
Okay, so can we at least try, I guess we have this, when does Nixon or Martin, when do they play? Friday?
Nixon will play tonight. They play United South.
United South, and then Martin plays
Martin
tomorrow.
plays tomorrow.
Why can't we just, probably talk about doing it for free for one game, just to see
Man, we've
what's the
already sold
turnout
tickets.
like?
Only students.
We've
For
already-
students.
It's only students.
Yes, I'm talking about students, yeah? They show their ID
For
from
the
school.
school ID. I agree.
Y van a entrar, and we'll just see how it works out. Si miramos que it's something that it's working and the kids are calling other ones, que vengan al juego or whatnot, pues then maybe it's something
It's
that,
going to take a couple of games to get.
but we will have to kind of,
We're hoping to see at least 50% capacity by giving these free tickets.
Right,
And
and-
it's nice for the athletes to play before a crowd.
Well, and just tonight, we probably will be at 100% because we have the Lamar band that will be playing with the high school band. We have Lamar football team and Memorial football team because it's middle school night. Cheer had a cheer camp this weekend. There's 105 little girls that will be cheering on the sideline in rotation. So their parents and grandparents are coming in along with the
why don't we
Nixon crowd.
test it
So-
out for next week? Now, I'm not
I think
talking
that
about
would be-
this week.
Correct.
We can
Okay.
test it out for next week and see, we can probably promote it with the schools, at the high schools, you know what? Don't forget your IDs, that will be your ticket to get in the game or something like that, I don't know. They can work out. If we see that, because we can probably have a clicker at the entrance and we can find out how many kids are coming in, showing their IDs and coming in. And if we see that works, then maybe we can keep that.
Ma'am, and I'm just going to caution you all that one of the advantages of the online ticketing is that you monitor, your entrance. And for example, the Martin Nixon game was sold at 50% because we have the data, but people came in a little bit heavier, so they were taking up 1.5 seats, so it looked like it was at 100% capacity, and it really wasn't. So, we just need to find a way to know ahead of time, at least gauge how many students will be coming. I'm not saying 1,800 students, say, for example, from
The other
Cigarroa.
games were empty. The other games that have very few students. And you can check how many student tickets did you sell for the Crystal City game, for the Del Rio game. It's very few.
We will try.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. If you're selling tickets online, go right now, get online and said, no tickets, you're going free. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
For next week.
From here
yes.
I think from here to the end of the season, you're not gonna make a dent in $100,000 with a dollar sold ticket.
But only for students,
Or
right?
whatever it
For
is. The ones in
students
Jamaica
only.
are the parent ones.
For students
Those are the
only.
ones, yeah.
For
So,
students only.
We'll give it a shot for next week, and then we'll
Yeah.
keep you posted on
I
that.
think that'd be
Okay.
better.
Do we need to
And
make a
going back
motion?
Going back to the capacity, but I want to leave this rule. Capacity everywhere can be 100%. Or indoor or outdoor. Are we okay with that? All right, I'm okay. Then I'm putting in motion that we do that. Motion
To have students enter to all our facilities for games, for LISD students with an ID, motion to have them, free entrance,
and that we go to 100% capacity. across the
100%
board.
capacity.
For how long? For how long?
To the end of the year, to the end of December, and then we'll reevaluate it for the fall season, for the
Just for
Spring.
just for clarification, if any student at LISD, even though their school is not playing, correct?
any student.
Any student.
I'll second that motion.
LIC students only.
Second, any
I'll
questions,
second
comments?
that. I'll second that. Yeah.
Okay, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Again?
Well, let's try it.
Let's try it.
Thank
Next.
you.
Everybody, any student,
No, but I mean, for middle school games also?
high school, middle school,
Okay,
elementary too, because they might take their kids.
okay.
No kid pay. Right?
No.
And
But they're students.
we'll take them at their word and say they have an ID number.
Yeah.
You know.
Would it have to be amended because it was mentioned every student, not just middle school and high school? Is it good for
We said every
Every
student,
student.
period.
including elementary?
Yeah.
No, for the record, it's every student regardless,
Any game, middle school.
any game. Right. Okay, thank you. Good job.
May I move on?
Please.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve the request of additional FTEs for the 2021-2022 school year. We've talked about some of these. One of these included the 40 FTEs for remote conferencing teachers that will be funded by ESSER, the 20 FTEs for custodian, which are custodians also funded by ESSER, and we are requesting approval of one special education campus coordinator, and this FTE came about by putting 2 together for this coordinator to be able to lessen the amount of,
Motion to
be able
approve.
to address the amount of elementaries.
Who made the motion? Motion by Monica, Ms. Garcia, second by Dr. Ramirez.
We have discussion, right?
Discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have marked
Just a
you
question on the, and I'm not very confident about the process, and I need an answer for that though. Once we hire them through this ESSER program, is it a limited amount of time?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years, right? But after that, if we become dependent on what they do for a living, are they gonna, what we talked about a while back with the processes that we had before, people tend to bleed into our regular staff or employment, and without saying, hey, 3 years is over, are these people gonna be absolutely aware that it's only a 3-year program?
Yes, they are aware of that, and as the years go through and vacancies become available, those positions can be migrated into regular positions as they're opened up, so that they're funded through the regular,
And
like
I think
vacancies
one thing we
within the
need to-
regular budget.
One thing we need to remind the board is when we talked about this, and a good question is, we asked them after the first year, then the second year, their plan to us was they're gonna start transferring
For
a
the
couple of
teachers,
people.
for the teacher
Yeah,
positions.
teachers, and then transferring them over. So by the third year, everybody that we had there, the majority that we really need will be part of our budget.
Right.
Because somebody leaves, we bring them over. And they need to do that the second year, because if we don't do it, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble the third year. And we've all
Yeah,
decided
we
on
did
that.
that about 6 years ago. Remember, we were talking
Right.
about, we have the same number of students since the 80s. What changed that, and it took us a long time to bring that population of teachers and employees down
Yes.
to meet the needs of this. And what I was worried about with this amount is that they're gonna integrate back into our deal, and we're gonna be overstaffed and things like
Well,
that.
so for the teacher vacancies, for the teacher positions, they will start filling in vacancies, so we won't be adding additional FTEs to the regular budget. It'll
Okay.
be
Very good.
absorbing it.
And I think, real quick, Ms. Ayala, correct me if I'm wrong, we put in some language in there that we're going to be at a certain point, the second year, that we're going to transfer so much, because if we don't do that, we're going to be in trouble. And we said that when we approved the budget, second year, it has to be a percentage, and we even said a percentage that to move over, because if not, we're gonna struggle.
And
So the language is already on
Yeah,
there.
and I want to clarify, if they're a brand-new position, that's different than some of the existing positions that have been recoded as ESSER funded. So the positions that Mr. Garcia is talking about is like, let's say that we had 10 teacher positions. For some reason or other, now they are being funded by ESSER. I'm giving an example.
Well, these 40 are that, these are pre-K.
No, I know, but I'm talking
But the
about,
reading special-
about some that may not have existed and now they were recoded. Now if we're gonna keep them, they have to be recoded back into the regular budget. But honestly and truly, we cannot, if we look at all of those FTEs, the ESSER funding was dedicated for one purpose, to close the gap and to mitigate, COVID. After these 3 years, you can't absorb a whole bunch of other ones, or you're going to be in the red.
But some of those that we recoded in the budget as ESSER, we recoded them. They were already here.
Right,
Am I
and
correct?
those are the ones he's
And
talking about.
Those are the ones that we're
back. We'll convert back into the regular
As we start to see
budget.
vacancies in the
By
regular
attrition.
budget, we'll start to put them in.
So
by
wait
a
a minute,
percentage.
Are you saying that these are not new hires?
Some are.
Some will be in the initial request with the 26 FTEs teacher, we closed those in the general budget and opened them up under ESSER and began filling those positions. And that was in part to be able to free up monies for the general budget for the raise that we provided to teachers. These 40 FTEs, they're for the remote teacher. They're already in those positions, the majority of, not all of them, but we've got a good percentage of them already in there. So we're just recoding them under ESSER because this is an ESSER type activity.
Right.
But once that, as the year progresses or the years progress, when we have a vacancy at a campus, then, for example, at the beginning of next year, when we have vacancies, some of these people will be recoded back
Migrated
in
back.
so that we can make sure that we're absorbing them back in.
Correct. Okay, I got it.
But that will not be the case for all the positions. It's mostly for the teachers that we made that plan. But for all the other positions, we hired over 270 positions.
Can we just, as a point of reference, if you can bring it up every year and just
Sure.
see how we're doing with this as we
Absolutely.
go along? That way
It'll
we
be a
get
part of the
fresh
budget
reminders as
process.
we go.
Do you foresee any problems in finding qualified remote teachers?
It is a challenge right now trying to get a good pool of teachers because we are mid-year. I know in December, we've gotten word that there will be one elementary bilingual teacher that's ready to be hired. So you can imagine that there's going to be there are some limitations of the number of people. We're advertising, we're trying to recruit. And working on, trying to get individuals interested in the alternative certification. But right now, we do have a bit of a shortage to fill positions.
Will this be full-time teachers?
Yeah, these are full-time teachers, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we have to remember that the statutes that came down made a very big distinction between having remote conferencing teachers as opposed to regular teachers. The remote conferencing cannot be doing both. They have to do one or the other. And then under the remote conferencing statute, you have to be able to qualify as a student to be considered a remote conference student.
Just an idea, I reached out to Katie, ISD, and I know they were reaching out to their employees that had retired and they were working part-time remote. Just an idea. I don't know if it...
We do that through our substitute pool.
In a few words, what is the definition of a remote conference teacher?
As he moves up, it's very different than virtual learning teachers. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, a remote conference teacher provides instruction in all the content areas. In order for a child to be eligible for remote conference, they must have been contracted COVID, they must have been in close contact, or they must have a temporary medical condition. A remote conferencing student is only eligible for 20 days during the course of the school year. So they're providing direct instruction, remotely as the child is at home. The teacher is at one of our schools providing instruction.
So most likely you need somebody with experience.
Yes, they have to be certified teacher.
And
qualified.
it would be to the equivalent of what we used to call a homebound teacher, but now they're doing it virtually. So these are the students that have to stay home, and the max they can be out is 20 days. So teacher A may have a student for 20 days, and then, or have X number of students for 20 days, but some will be coming and going.
And this will be remote teaching.
Yes.
And we already have that, we're already happening right
So
now.
rather than counting the child absent, we get ADA for that child.
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz.
Thank you.
Okay, good question. Next.
Are we to vote?
Oh, there was a motion to second. Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, against? Thanks. Next,
May I read the next two since they are closed session?
please.
Okay, item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional position. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, Chief of Police. Number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the offer of sale and potential acquisition of real property, interest, and improvements owned by the Laredo Chamber of Commerce located at 2310 San Bernardo Avenue, Laredo, Texas, including discussion with legal counsel regarding related legal issues. Possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072.
Motion to go into executive session for
Motion by
items
Ms.
4 and
Garcia,
5.
Second by Mr.
Monica Garcia.
Noyola. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? I said Ms. Garcia. It's 6:07. Everybody's going into the
Jessica.
executive with our attorney. Executive session is 6:33. No action was taken. Dr. Rios?
On item number 4, discussion and possible action, I'm sorry, can we do number 4 first or number 5? Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the offer of sale and potential acquisition of real property interests and improvements owned by the Laredo Chamber of Commerce located at 2310 San Bernardo Avenue, Laredo, Texas, including discussion with legal counsel.
I move to authorize our superintendent and our legal counsel to negotiate with the Laredo Chamber of Commerce for the purchase of the real property interests and improvements located at 2310 San Bernardo Avenue and execute a contract for purchase on the terms discussed in closed session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Unanimous. Next.
Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional position, Chief of Police. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to recommend Doreen Hale for the position.
So moved.
There's a motion. There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Unanimous. Thank you.
No, I voted against.
Against. Okay, one against. Next.
That's it.
Veronica, announcements, please.
Yes, sir. The Student Services Committee meeting is set for Monday, October 4th at 11 a.m., followed by the Compliance and Accountability Committee meeting at 5:30. Operations is scheduled for Tuesday, October 5th at 5:15 p.m. The CNI meeting is planned for Wednesday, October 6th at 9:30 a.m. And Dr. Rios will participate in the State of Education in Texas panel on Thursday, October 7th at 9:30 a.m., along with the superintendents of Dallas ISD and Houston ISD. Business and Support Services Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 7th at 5:30, and the regular board meeting is set for Thursday, October 14th at 5:30 p.m. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Before we go, I do want to thank and thank first the Board of Trustees that attended the conference in Dallas. I know the other board members have prior commitment, but the presentation that was done by the nursing staff and the presentation that was done by the board, I want to thank you because it was an outstanding, really was an outstanding performance. We learned a lot. Thank you, Benita. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Thank you, Monica, the superintendent, and everybody else that was there for representing Laredo strong. So, thank you. Anything else?
And our IT team that went to support us.
And the team, that's right. And happy belated birthday to Mr. Velasquez.
Vale más que le hagan comprar un regalo, ¿eh?
And that's it.
Que no supieron.
Oh, I forgot, yeah. And I want to congratulate Monica and everybody else at the grand opening of Cigarroa Middle School. That little girl that spoke, Isabella, right? Oh my gosh, she was unbelievable. The whole presentation, it was outstanding. The work that you all did, your speech was beautiful, superintendent, and just everybody else. There are a lot of people. Mr. Valdez.
Oh, I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe we're going to be recognizing our custodians pretty soon.
Yes.
And I think that here we have a very good example of how every position that works for the district, every person that works for the district has a special role to play. And right now, the custodians have really set the example because we depend on them so much. Parents, students, staff, everybody. And I think they've done a wonderful job. You know, the community is very, very happy with them. I've heard some very good comments.
Hear, hear.
Thank you very much. I think at the end of the day, especially in these times, when it comes to not only custodians, but people, everybody from maintenance, everybody from the kitchen has taken it up another notch because that's what they need to do. And in LISD, we don't surrender. We just, what do we need to do? Let's have it done and let's go to the next project. So that's because of the leadership that's up here, superintendent and everybody else that worked for us. Thank you very much and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Adjourned.